So your first video was about the women in Islam, and you were saying about how the women that in the days of Islam, the women used to stay at home because it used to be the men that would go out.
Okay.
But you're saying that now it's the women who are working.
They are working.
Yeah, so they have a share in the money they bring into the house.
Yeah.
But I suppose what you should have mentioned is that the only reason Muslim women work nowadays in a lot of countries is simply because Islam was defeated as a world power.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not, obviously in the times when Islam was a world power, what you said there wouldn't really have applied to the women. So that's only a modern thing.
What I'm saying is the rules is still the same, and we need to treat women because men and women are equal as the eyes of God, and each one of them, it will be rewarded about their deed by God. But when the man is the one who is the breadwinner, it doesn't mean that if the women are the breadwinner, that the man should abuse her or she should abuse him, because what brings them in tranquility and peaceful harmony relationship, it's respect and communication between themselves and respect, and this is what it's supposed to happen. While the tradition during the last 14 years, due to culture, there's misunderstanding from on the part of a man to appreciate and treat his woman as she should.
Right. So well, I suppose what I'm just saying about that particular point is that first point that you made in the video, that was a modern thing. So it wasn't really. The scholars, it had to be the modern scholars who sort of came up with that way of treating women, and it wouldn't have been related to anything that your prophet would have said, because the setting was different.
What I'm saying is, it doesn't need a scholar or anybody, because when the Prophet Muhammad, he came with a set of rules, a set of rule by God toward how you need to treat your women, how to treat your daughter, how to treat your mother, how to treat your female as a whole. So you don't need a scholar, you need somebody to just take it on and respond in a kind, appropriate way of be submissive to God by obeying God's rules toward women.
Right.
You see as a whole what I'm saying?
Yeah. But essentially what that is that would so they were responding to how things are in modern times. They weren't like strictly going by what was written down in Islam that came from the old times. I suppose what you could say is that it didn't, obviously in your original like history of Islam, since those things weren't there related to how you treat women in modern times, that means they would have had to, effectively come up with their own. They would come up with their own rulings.
Who they come up with on ruling?
Well, it would be either your scholars or the leaders, religious leaders.
What I'm saying is, the rule for the people, normal people, to read and understand and apply. So the scholar would have, if I'm more knowledgeable and other people approach me, I need to simplify what Quran is telling them and advise them to apply it on their life.
Right.
So the normal people, that's why we have a ceremony every Friday. We call khutbah, like a speech by imam. Imam is a scholar or somebody who read and understand. So he conveys the same message of the Quran, explain it and explain what the Prophet, peace upon him, have teach to the people. The people now need to reflect upon how they are treating their women and how they are dealing with their surrounding first family, and this will bring family by family into good society, which obedience and living in harmony and love.
Oh yeah. So it sounds to me like it's a good how do you say, a good parallel for how things are with the rest of the world. So you could say it was just that Islam being modernized.
What I'm saying, Islam, the Prophet, peace upon him, he said he didn't come but to perfect the moral standard. And the moral standard, which is better than it become from you and the nearest to you, then the nearest. And this is how you spread equality, harmony, love, and better community. This is what I said. The Prophet said, I am the best for my family, and the best among you is the best for his family. So from this on, we see the foundation how to become the best. You got my point?
No, I can understand. You're just saying it's just a modern. It's just Islam being modernized. That's what it sounds like. But the next part in that first video, you then was talking about what it said in the Quran, and what you were emphasizing was that the Surah 434 was saying that the women that you had to hit. When it said you had to strike them, you were doing some. No, I think later on you did some research into the word, but at first you just said that meant lightly.
Yes.
So in your right. So in your opinion, would you say it's okay to hit women?
Actually, the hitting is to draw her attention to what you want her to do. So, and this is why the Prophet, peace upon him, explained it, that if you have miswak, the one you do, you hit her like this.
Yeah.
And so there is no harm being done, just to draw her attention. And what I said, there is 6,336 verse in the Quran, and there's only one word to say beat them. But there is as well, there is condition till you reach this. Instead of losing your marriage, your wife, your children, and your marriage. And because if you feel rebellious, even the women, if she feel her husband is playing around and he's not right, she's not going to come and hit him. She will have the right to discuss it with him. Then if she sees that he's not responding, she can call somebody from her own family and somebody from his own family. They sit and they try to resolve the problem. If they didn't reach an agreement, so the last solution is divorce. And when the divorce is happening, the women they have the right to stay in their own home, and the husband should go somewhere else because he is like a guest in his own home. So it's her home, not his.
But here's the interesting about what you just said there is all of what you just said there. Did you get it from the Quran?
From the Quran, yes.
You did?
Yes, because there is the chapter An-Nisa, chapter 4, and chapter 65, Surah Al-Talaq. And if you read all the verses regarding the conflict between a husband and his wife, this is the solution. even when they divorce, man, he divorced his wife. Let's say she's pregnant when she gave birth. He is responsible still on paying her and nursing the children, which is his and her. So he need to even keep his duty toward his own children.
Right. Because he's genuinely yeah. So what the comment out? Yeah. So the comment I would make on. All right. So just to confirm, what you're saying is that so the man can hit her lightly, just as a way of showing his annoyance. Would you say, or
Yes.
just to try and get the point across? Right. So.
And I give an example. For example, as an example, if your child, for example, you're walking with him and there is traffic around, and the boy, he's you running around without looking, and he might jump to the street in front of oncoming car.
Yeah.
You come and you slap him on his hand. That careful. You're not slapping him actually to harm him. You are slapping him to draw his attention. What he's doing is dangerous and it might harm him more. So the hit is to physically, like shaking him, be careful. And this is exactly the way it is for your women. Because if your woman is not responding to you and see what she's doing wrong, and she about to lose, to spoil the marriage, there should be a way of waking her up. If she doesn't respond to first you talk to her, then second you try to stay away from her and bed, and you treat her like as she's nothing, and this should attract her attention. But if she's not willing to be obedient and submissive, even according to the Bible, and try to work out what's going on wrong in her own life and or marriage, that means where we are going.
Right. So
I'm married for 23 years. Sometimes between my wife, we have argument. I have my child. I'm telling him something, she go and defend him.
Right.
Yeah, I tell her, please let me speak to him, because it seems that he's not listening to me. And sometimes I shout at her, you stay out of it. Because she need to back me up, because we are the adult, and the boy need to respond to us.
yeah.
I do the same. If she's shouting at him to correct him, I'm not gonna be defending him against her, because this will create a problem.
Yeah.
You understand the point?
Yeah, I understand. But what you're doing is you're describing how you discipline a child. So in Islam, would you say that when you're looking at how it is in the Quran and the way that the scholars describe how that particular verse, would you say that there's an unevenness?
What I am saying is, sometimes even the man to be disciplined.
Yeah.
As a woman, as we are equal, and that's why I said when the woman realize that her husband need to be disciplined, she's not gonna come and hit him, because he physically, if she hit him, let's say she hit him hard, he gonna beat her up big time. So what's the solution? The solution, she contact maybe his father, his uncle, somebody can talk to him and to see he is wrong. And similar, she can contact one of her family to support her, to talk to his family that what he's doing is not acceptable, as an equal term. And this is how you need to reconcile and try to resolve any issue.
Right. So if you ended up in a situation where, say the man was treating the wife unfairly, and he went to the imam at the mosque, and the imam just said to him, well, you know, she's getting a bit rebellious, so you're going to have to execute that particular surah. If the man did actually hit her and didn't hit her lightly, but he didn't cause a bruise, but he hit her in a way where he's a bit angry.
Okay.
Would that imam be right?
No. What the imam would do, as he listened to him, he should take a note what's going on.
Right.
Then he, in a separate room, sit with her, call her, and sit with her, and listen to her side of story. Then, when he listened to both of them, he sit with both of them and tells them, this is what you done right, this is what you done wrong, this is what you done right, was it, and judge between them according to justice, and try to resolve the issue between them. And that's why when I say somebody from her family, somebody from his family. So, because it's not acceptable for a man to abuse and oppress his wife.
Right.
It's not for a man to abuse and oppress his children. And that's the way, there's, when something doing wrong, it's wrong.
Right, but I suppose the important thing is who determines if it's the wrongness of what has been done. Because remember what I said about that particular imam. So if he decided not to do what you just said there about doing like the European way of trying to reconcile the marriage, and just went straight to the hadith, and then used the way that your prophet judged a similar situation, would he be wrong?
He would be wrong. But the prophet, I don't think the prophet, when they come and complain to him, actually he told them, how dare you treat your women like you're beating a mule or a horse? At the end of the day, you go and you want to sleep with her. That means he tells them, he's telling them, shame on you, because you are treating your women in disgusting way, and at the end you're going and sleeping with them. So actually, in direct way, he is telling them what you're doing is not acceptable, because if you have 1% of dignity, you wouldn't offend your women. Besides, the Quran say, وَعَاشِرُوهُمْ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ, treat them with kindness. And the Quran say, عَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. You might hate something, and in it there's plenty of good for you, because the Prophet, peace upon him, said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given you the permission to take them and to sleep with them in lawful way, but with permission of God. And you need to respect this bond between you and be respectable to yourself. So the Prophet never affirmed that if somebody beat his wife, to go and beat her again. And all those hadiths which is talk about that the Prophet hit somebody on the chest and make it green more than the green of the clothes. Let me finish.
That's the way it is.
The same narrator, Bukhari, who came 185 years after the Prophet, said about our mother Aisha radiallahu anha, may God be pleased with her, that the Prophet was like a Quran walking, and he never beat with his hand. The Prophet never beat a slave or a servant or a woman. So
but that, so even though Because what the important thing is, it's not even really what he did. It's how did he, or did he ever chastise any of his followers? Because that's more important. Because whatever he told his followers to do, that's what people do. You expect people to do now, isn't it? So, you know the one you said about the, the green skin one. The woman with the green skin.
Yeah.
Sorry, who had the bruises.
Yeah.
So do you think your Prophet, when he, remember you said about the two people having a dispute?
Yeah.
So when your Prophet had a similar situation to that, where he had to speak to both of them, do you think he did the same thing that you just said, where he took them each aside and spoke to them and tried to convince them?
At the time of the Prophet, peace upon him, when the Prophet says something, even if he didn't talk to the women, when he talked to the men should acknowledge what the Prophet have teach him and apply it.
Right.
And this is where the conclusion of our conversation, it rely on what the Prophet, peace upon him, teach and what the Quran teach.
Right.
And women, actually, including the mother, Quran teach us that women, even they are weak physically, but they should be treated with dignity, with honor, with love. And whoever, any man, this is my own opinion, any man, he raise his hand against his wife or his sister or his daughter, this man have no dignity, have no moral, have a wrong idea of what Islam is all about. And this is my last conclusion for the whole. Salam alaikum. Eid Mubarak. It's fine. But we are talking about how Islam teach how to treat women. I have two videos, and the brother he have some note. I'm trying to explain to him.
Misconception.
This is what I'm telling him. What Islam teach is not a tradition. If the tradition contradicts what Quran and the Sunnah teach, it's people behavior. You cannot blame Islam for what the Muslims do.
It's a culture thing.
This is what I'm trying to push through. And I guess I explained enough and he understands now.
Right, so you know what you're saying about the... Remember I was trying to explain... about what your Prophet did in that situation. So do you want to hear what he did or what he said?
I don't need to. I just explain to you, and there's no need to just go around it because it become. If we're gonna talk about it for 1 hour and a half, it can become boring.
No, it's just
How long have you been recording?
But I suppose at least if we could. I think it's only been like half an hour.
Half an hour?
No, 26 minutes.
26 minutes, more than enough. Tell me what you have.
No. But so I just want to confirm. So, would you say that what it says in this Sahih al-Bukhari hadith?
Yeah.
So would it be valid? The conclusion.
Yeah.
That the way your Prophet explained, gave his conclusion.
Yeah.
Would an imam be able to conclude in the same way your Prophet did?
What I'm saying is, when I mention the hadith of Bukhari, who came 185 years after the narration, there's some hadith being put just to degrade and mislead others.
Right.
What I'm saying is, the Prophet, peace upon him, laid down the law and he teach the Quran. And he didn't have only one wife. he have 11 wives. Even after his death, if he used to treat his own women in a bad way, that means all his followers, they should do the same. And this would contradict the Quran. You look like lost.
No, because the Quran says that you can strike them, and the men in here.
Didn't I explain? There is a lot of a procedure before you come to the conclusion of beating them, and even I explained beating them how it have to be. Even I told you, any man, regardless of religion as well, any man who reach the level of beating women, he is not a man. Because the Prophet, let me remind you about this. The Prophet, peace upon him, one man came to him, and he asked the Prophet, what should I do? The Prophet, peace upon him, said, don't get angry. He told him, advise me more. He told him, don't get angry. He said, advise me more. The Prophet said, don't get angry, because when you are angry, actually you lose your temper and you can do whatever. When you're drunk, you might lose your temper and do something bad, and you might regret your action later on. And this is from this base, so you don't come to a degree where you lose your temper and you do something out of your mind. Simple.
Yeah, I understand that part, but you see, the main thing I'm trying to get to is, because you're saying that the imam, if he judged things according to how your prophet did in this Bukhari, the one about the woman in the green spot, you're saying that he would be right to judge it that way. That's the part I don't get. So are you saying that? Because I suppose this is the important thing, is that it sounds like you're a bit like what's his name, Mufti Abu Layth, where you don't like certain hadiths which show the Prophet in a bad.
If it contradicts the Quran, it contradicts other hadiths.
No.
I reject the hadith which is actually contradict the moral standard of the Prophet.
Israelites will return to take down Islam.